The real Zach is dead. The real Zach is dead. I am an imposter.
What's that?
I am his twin brother. Also named Zach.
I think they're following us.
But don't worry, demon heads.
Wait, get to the car.
The show will continue as planned.
Oh, God.
I am the new Zach.
That's casting out demons.
Hi.
Hi guys, welcome to Casting Out Demons. I'm Bailey.
I'm Zach.
And we switched our voices for the entirety of the episode.
Think like Freaky Friday, but horror-y.
Yeah, so like a fuck you Friday.
Yeah, on Thursday.
So, Zach, would you like to start with your trick or tweet? Or shall I?
Yeah, it's up to you, Bailey.
Oh my god, we just switched back.
Whoa.
Whoa.
I'm
I'm
back.
actually going to take the lead here as Zach. I am now
Okay.
Zach. The trick or tweet is, if the Blair Witch Project had 5 babies by getting impregnated by the ring, you would get VHS. And an interesting episode of the Maury Povich Show.
I love it. By the way, we're talking about VHS this week.
Oh yeah, we're talking about VHS. It's a
It's a horror anthology movie,
a series of vignettes.
if you will. It's kind of like Tales from the Dark Side or something, where we have a wraparound segment and then
5
five tapes. Yeah.
5 tapes. One of them is Amateur Night. The next one's Second Honeymoon. Tuesday the 17th is the third one. The Sick Thing That Happened to Emily when she was younger is the fourth one. And the
it's
last
just
one is 10/31/98, which is, I looked at a calendar coincidentally and learned that is the date that Halloween fell on in 1998. And every year, apparently.
Did you know?
Yes, the more you know.
This has been Zach's Fuck You Factoid Corner.
Yes.
Yeah. So
And what's your trick or tweet?
my trigger tweet is, and that is how I spent my summer vacation.
Bailey, I know what you did last summer, and that's not what you did. Heyo,
Heyo.
we're steeped in the horror movie
You're gonna
nerdery that is Casting Out Demons, a comedy horror podcast.
Made from our blood, sweat, and fears.
Maybe some blood, sweat, and beers are in our future.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Some blood, sweat, and shears.
Ooh, that's what the audience says. And what are the audience named, Bailey? Demon Heads.
Since we've been slacking on.
Hey, Demon Heads.
Hey guys.
Let's go ahead and just throw in a couple of sound bites here for later. I can edit these in. Hey, Demon Heads.
Hey, demon heads.
I was walking down the street the other day. Hey, Demon Heads. Hashtag Hola, Demon Heados.
Oh my god.
Demon Cabezas.
That is your homework for next time, is to look up the direct translation of what Hi Demon Heads is in like 3 different languages.
Hola, El Diablo Cabezas.
So, would it be Cabezas Day?
It is, but I think in Twitter Spanish, you're supposed to do it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that way.
I forgot.
You don't follow Spanish Twitter like I do.
No, I just follow Spanish Instagram, so they just take pictures of stuff.
And you can still read pictures in Spanish.
Yeah.
Overall, the whole idea of VHS is there is
It's a group of
group of dudes who are making videos for. If they were making it for the internet, it would probably be going on the deep internet, the deep web, whatever.
Because I mean, I think it kind of ties into, not to jump ahead, but if you've seen VHS as part of a series, and it's actually a trilogy, which I believe
Yes.
they're working on a 4th one.
Hopefully not.
We
After
have
seeing the third one.
VHS 2, and VHS Viral, which VHS Viral is is like my least favorite out of the 3. I do love Dante the Magician
I haven't seen
in
it.
VHS 3.
I just heard bad things about VHS 3.
It's
That's not
definitely
fair
not
of
my
me
favorite.
to say.
It's not my favorite. My favorite's actually the second one, is VHS 2.
Yeah, because in my opinion, Adam Wingard's contribution to VHS is the background of the vignettes.
It's our wraparound segment.
It's our wraparound segment, and it's the weakest part of the movie.
And so
I think it's actually I think it's horrendous. I think it's really, really bad.
And then in the second one, it gets a little bit more solid.
Yeah, the
a lot more
foundation
founded.
is settled. I think they build from a shitty foundation in the second one, and they make it a little better. The wraparound, that is.
Yeah,
The vignettes in the first one, all 5 of them are very, very good. Yeah.
And so, just to kind of let you know, the wraparound segment, it's like Zach said, it's a group of these guys, and they're trying to break into this house to recover a VHS tape.
Yes.
And so you can tell there are splices at the beginning because it's all taken on their video cameras. It's a lot of ready cam action. And, you know, it's like videos of them, like one of them's like trying to have sex with a girl, and he's like telling her the camera's not on.
Yeah,
and it is
she's
on,
like, what's
so you
this
see her
blinking light?
boobs.
And then you see this other, this movie is a lot of, this movie is a study in how to inappropriately and just being an asshole going in that way to see girls' breasts. Like,
Yeah,
there's a
they're trying to,
lot of
like-
that, and I know that sounds like a joke, but this movie is kind of weirdly centered around, hey, how do we get boobs shown?
Yeah, and so it's like
Yeah.
splices of them doing that, like sneaking into parking garages and
And
like
lifting up poor women's
with
shirts.
shirts.
And it's terrible. You're seeing
Yeah.
the scum of the earth with video cameras.
But I think that it's to kind of, I don't know, I've always taken it that it's just to kind of not, to make you kind of hate these guys.
Oh, yeah,
more.
absolutely.
So it's like at the end, they kind of get their just desserts.
Absolutely.
And so,
I mean, I understand what Wingard was trying to do with that, but
Yeah.
just I think the actors they chose for these roles were terrible. And in this part only. The rest of the only other one that has poor actors, in my opinion, is Tuesday the 17th. Everything else is acted very well. But the wraparound segment, well, let's call it Tape 56. That's what
Yeah,
it's
Tape
listed.
56.
Tape 56. We had to spend a little time talking about this to really establish what this is about. So they go into this house. They find this stack of TVs. There's an older man.
it looks like a shut-in or like recluse's home.
Yeah, and he's passed out, possibly dead. They make a comment that he smells bad. It seems like he's dead.
Yeah,
And
like he's been dead for a while.
this is they're showing that these people are heartless because they're not trying to resuscitate this man. They're not trying to check on this man. They're just letting him be dead in a chair, supposedly. That's what they think they're doing. And they're watching tapes in front of this dead body. And these tapes are the movies we mentioned previously. And apparently, whenever you watch these tapes, you die. Kind of like The Ring.
Yeah, it's like The Ring, but without the you're gonna die in 7 days.
It's just they skip the 7 days.
It's essentially there are 5 guys. We have 5 tapes.
Yeah.
You know, kind of.
Yeah, it's simple math by Wingard. You know, I mean, it's weak in my humble opinion. And I understand it must have sounded like a really good idea in the production meeting. I just think that there was poor execution on that part, and I think that the going out of the way to make us hate these people, why they do get their just dessert in the end.
It has a shock value to it, and
Yeah.
so it just kind of it's
I think
borderline
if you-
distasteful.
It is just, I don't think it's borderline. I think it's
I was
well
trying to
over
be
the line.
nice, yeah.
I think it's well over the line into just absolute distaste. And I think that's what ruins the movie, because if you give us characters we care about, we're going to want to tether to that storyline.
And that's
but
kinda,
instead,
in the second one we do that.
Yes, absolutely. In Tape 56, though, in this one, it's annoying filler that's between the
Yes.
really good vignettes.
Yes, and so just so we don't spend enough time, because we have 5 whole
We have- yeah,
things.
we gotta
This is
get-
probably going to be a long episode. 30
Yes,
minutes.
I actually have my rating for that. I have a rating for each
Okay.
of them. So my
Yeah,
rating
very
for that
cool.
one is 3.4 out of 10. That's the
Yeah.
lowest rating I've given anything on this podcast. And I have a little note
Yeah.
that thank God Wingard made better stuff after this.
Yeah, because I mean, definitely like You're Next and The Guest, and like he has a new
Yeah.
series coming out, and I can't think of what it's called. But it has Patrick Fugit, who I'm in love with. He was in Almost Famous,
Yeah.
Saved,
Yeah.
Gone Girl, a bunch of stuff in between there. Thanks for sharing.
Who is he
I'm
in
love
Gone
with him.
Girl?
He is the deputy.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the one that's convinced that Nick did it.
Mm-hmm.
And so he has done a lot of great stuff and come a long way as a filmmaker. But I mean, this came out in 2011, so like he's definitely come a long.
Yeah, in
or
4
2012.
Yeah, he's come.
No, 2011,
Yeah, it's 2011. He came a long way in 4 years. It's very impressive
Yeah.
to see how strong he is as a filmmaker now. And I don't know, maybe he was given poor subject material.
And I mean, it's all horror anthologies are very hard to execute because
Yeah.
I mean, you have really really good ones like Tales from the Dark Side,
Yeah.
Creep Show, but then you also
Halloween.
Have, yep.
Isn't that what it's called? No, Trick or
Trick or
Treat.
Treat.
Sorry, Trick or Treat. Yeah.
Trick or Treat, which is great because
Yeah.
Trick or Treat and the whole Trick or Treat universe, if you've seen Trick or Treat, like it's kind of like a Tarantino universe, or like you know, he's just not that into you, where everybody's connected.
It's
and so it's really
Slacker turned into a horror movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go. You
Yeah.
can't,
I just watched a documentary on Richard Linklater today, and it was very, very
you
good.
can't reuse that tweet. when we do.
Okay, I will.
You
I will
can't-
find a
you
way to
can't
reward
recycle
it.
it.
Let's get into Amateur Night.
Okay, so
This is the first
yeah,
vignette
go-
we're introduced to.
Do you want to start out? Or do you want me to?
Oh, you go ahead. You set the scene.
Okay, so to set the scene, you have three guys who stereotypical, probably in their mid-20s.
I have
not
two
to-
of their names.
Not to shit on our.
Shane and Clint, and there's another dude who kind of laughs from a chair or a couch.
Yeah.
A love seat.
Yeah. And so what the idea is that they've just gotten the glasses that have a camera in them.
Yes.
And so they want to go downtown and like
Pick up a girl, bring them back to the hotel
and
room,
record it.
and record them having sex with you. And this is a further. This one does a better job of walking the line. What's distasteful and everything, because there are
Exactly.
moments whenever these characters show a little bit of humanity and tether them back to the fact, oh, these are people that actually exist in the world.
Exactly. And so
Yes.
they're kind of douchey, but you know, whatever.
Yeah, and Clint's the one that has the purest of heart,
The
and that's
glasses,
why
yes.
that's why what happens at the end of
Yeah.
it happens.
Exactly. And so
they
go
go,
ahead.
yeah, they go downtown. They go to a bar. They find this one girl. They find this other girl, and they have a little bit of an exchange. They get kicked out of the bar. They ask the girls to come back to their motel room with them.
And one of these girls, we should point out, the one that's kind of interested in Clint is very quiet.
Yeah, and she it seems like
almost
she's
creepy.
It's like she doesn't know how to talk, and she's kind of
Very
mimicking,
socially awkward,
like a
yes.
parrot would, where it's just kind of
Yeah.
mimicking.
No joking in there.
No,
It's
yeah.
like actually like it's very
Yeah,
it's like robotic.
Yeah,
It's like very like almost AI.
And what I noticed this time watching it, this is my third time watching VHS, and what I noticed this time through is that there is a line on her forehead, and that's foreshadowing, forehead foreshadowing, if you will, and that comes back into play
So they
later.
call it
Demon
the
Heads.
biz?
Yes, of course, that's what everybody calls it. I believe the term was first introduced by
I think it was Sir Isaac Newton. Sir Isaac Newton.
Sir Isaac Newton and Sir Isaac Steven Spielberg, who no relation.
I believe when,
They sat around under a apple tree and
together. As
and-
they did, as
yeah,
we know, and
and
that's why
they did a bunch of hallucinogenics, and they started seeing apples falling from
Exactly.
trees. So
And
the
that's
theory
where
of relativity,
Exactly.
the theory of everything,
the theory of Sunday Funday, because it was also a Sunday, it should be pointed out.
and that's also where they developed the idea for BOGO: buy one get one. That was their
Yeah.
that was them. They did that.
also hashtag.
Also, that was where the first hashtag came in. But they thought that it would take a long time
Yeah.
because tic-tac-toe was such a popular game at the time that they thought that the population then weren't ready for what hashtags meant.
Exactly.
Yes.
And
Anyway,
so-
sorry, we got completely off
we're
track
just such
there. So
history
they
buffs.
leave the we know history so very
And
well.
so-
If my nose isn't at this microphone, you bet your ass it's in a history book. So,
Yeah.
anyways,
So they go to the bar, and one of the girls, like we said, she has a line on her forehead. So they wind up they get kicked out of the bar, and they wind up
getting into a
driving.
car, they start doing some drugs. I believe it's cocaine.
And they're kind of one of the girls, the girl that's kind of awkward. They kind of
Force her to do the cocaine, and there's like this.
because the other girls are very, very, very heavily intoxicated.
Yes, I should say that the one girl, it kind of seems like she's the one that's leading everything, but she kind of becomes inconsequential at the end of the vignette. So that's one of the. I had several problems with this one, even though I think the concept is very good. I feel like they. I'll get into what I feel about it after this, but so they go back to the motel room. The Clint character, the one that is wearing the glasses, that is filming this entire thing, it's told from his perspective. Goes to the bathroom, sees how drunk he is, comes back in there, and the Shane character starts making out with the girl who isn't the one with the forehead line.
Yes. Well, one's blonde and one's brunette.
Yes, the brunette. No. She has red hair.
She has red hair.
Yeah.
There we go.
I'm colorblind. Redhead and the brunette. So he's making
The
out
one with the slightly lighter gray hair.
Sure, yeah. Well, I don't see things in shades of gray, okay?
I didn't know.
Okay. Anyway, that's not what kind of colorblind I am. We don't have time to get into that. So he's making out with the redhead. One dude, I forget his name. Let's call him Jim. Jim is watching from the love seat, laughing at this situation because he's the guy that doesn't have the girl. And then we start to see.
You all know that guy.
Yeah, you all
The
know
third
that guy.
in the
You
group.
probably are that guy if you're listening. No offense, Demon Heads. I've never been that guy, so I don't know what that's like. Genuinely.
I'm that guy.
Yeah. I don't like to watch creepy things unfold in front of me. I would have
me
left
neither.
that situation long before it got to that point. If I knew I wasn't getting laid that night, I go home, I play some video games like a normal person. I don't watch my friends. First of all, I would never be in a situation to where I would be like, hey, Clint, film me fucking this girl. And fuck that. You're a horrible human being for that, Shane. And so
I feel like that feels like robotic, like when we had to edit it and like that later, like that's not how it is.
Shane.
It just like doesn't sound like your voice or anything.
We obviously know, insert character's name, what his name is, okay? We know Shane. And that's...
It's like...
So Jim's watching from
Yeah.
chair laughing, and then Redhead passes out. And he's like, hey, you have to stop. Like, she's done. She's done.
And he... Yeah.
Yeah. At this point, Brunette leans over to Clint and says, I like you.
But it's like very creepy.
It's like at first she goes, and he's like, what? This is weird. She's like, I like you. And she does. She cares for Clint, for seeing that he has a pure heart. In this situation, Clint is that friend who gets bullied by his two alpha male friends. He's the follower in the group, and he'll do whatever these people tell him to do because he believes that they're better than him, even though they're clearly not. That's why I think this part of the movie would have worked better if it was told in a high school situation. But you can't really deal with the sexual nature that they did. So anyway, Clint is told that this girl, she likes him. They look over. He's upset that the redhead falls asleep. So Shane stands up and then moves over to the brunette and starts kissing her. And then she's pointing at Clint. And then the whole thing kind of devolves into he's making the move. And then she wants Clint to join in on the fun they're about to have.
On their fun time.
On their journey, as you
Let's
put
make
it.
this line a triangle.
Yes. So he joins in the triangle. It becomes I'm not exactly sure. I think it's an equatorial triangle at this point.
It might be a little obtuse.
It's not cute, I'll tell you that much. So Clint gets kind of overwhelmed by the situation because he looks over. Jim's taking off his pants. He's realizing that this is about to turn from a tricycle into a four-wheeler. And he's like, I'm not really into off-road activities. So he goes into the bathroom to gather himself up. And then he's like, get a hold of yourself. Because I think in that situation, he realizes that the two alpha males are going ahead with this. And as soon as he's about to go out the door, Jim runs back in, and he's been bitten by the brunette. And I'm like, what? Why would she bite you? And then he goes, Clint goes back into the room and starts seeing that Shane is just being incinerated. Or what's the word I'm looking for?
She rips his
Eviscerated.
dick off. Yeah,
eviscerated. And he's just ripping through him like a cat through cotton candy. That's too pleasant of an image. A cat through another cat. That captures the visceral nature.
Have you ever seen Man vs. Food?
I have
seen
seen
that. You know how nauseating you get at that? That's same concept here.
Very similar.
But intestines.
So intestines are flying all around the room. They go back. This is where it starts to get really annoying to me. This vignette.
He is clenching his fingers.
I'm clenching my fingers mostly because I have this little boo boo here and it hurts. But at this point, you start to have that horror movie trope that is the most annoying horror movie trope, where the people who are involved in this situation start to make extremely fucking stupid decisions in order for the plot to end the way the director wants the plot to end. Instead of letting these characters who he's developed make realistic decisions that they would make.
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
That they would make in the situation, they completely... what is the word I'm looking for? Forgo the right way to do this and do it in such a way that they can get to the ending that they want. It's a great ending, but it feels a little cheap by the time you get there.
Well, then we should point out that at this point, sorry, Demon Heads, we should point out at this point that her face has opened and it kind of looks like a Venus flytrap.
Like her, remember that line I mentioned?
Dennings.
Yes, absolutely. Foreshadowing maybe to recasting out demons. Who knows? Maybe Bailey has that in mind. So we see that she has that forehead split. That line that I was talking about earlier has opened up into a new
splits.
It's her mouth above her eyes. She has a mouth below her and above her eyes. It's a mouth sandwich.
It's a face vagina.
It's a mouthful. I'll tell you that much. Her face vagina is apparent, glowing in the moonlight, and so Shane is dead. Shane has just been ripped apart.
Shane is now a part, like every part of Shane is on a different piece of that room.
Absolutely. So the room is painted in Shane, shainted, and so...
Shainted.
Jim has this idea. Again, his name's not Jim, but for this segment, his name is Jim. Grabs the shower rod where the curtain rests and goes out. And
which is my biggest beef with this, because you know how hard it is to get a tension rod to move it once you put it up? Do you know if you've ever had to put up a tension rod, Demon Heads, it is the hardest thing.
But he does fall back, so he pulls with a lot of force.
Yeah. It's just that is the most frustrating part to me because tension rods and shower curtains
Mine falls
are like
all the time.
Are you serious?
Yeah, mine fall because I don't do a good job of putting it
Once
up.
I put it up like mine, it would take probably like 3 succubi to take it down at least.
Foreshadowing. So at this point, I guess, we could say she's a succubus. And a very good one.
But,
She's good at her
yeah,
job.
what I do like, though, the trope that they don't play into is that she's not, like, overly sexualized or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like, we see a lot of the time with, like, the 3, like, vampires that, like, surround Dracula and things like that. We see, like, over-sexualization. And she is not at all.
No, she's absolutely not. And
She would be, like, great in, like,
she's
a little indie horror movie.
Yeah, she's like this little...
And she is.
She's kind of an afterthought. Honestly, that's why Shane eventually does go to her after the much more sexualized redhead passes out in bed. And what happens at this point... I should say, to kind of go off what you were saying, if succubuses and incubuses do have children, she's the adopted child that was kind of forgotten about. And then she grew up to be this awkward succubus.
She could be in the band Incubus.
Yes, she could be. She might be. No one really... Little fact about Incubus. No one knows who's drumming in Incubus.
So it's this
No
girl.
one knows who's behind Brandon Boyd.
Just to know you.
Pins and needles.
Okay.
Anyway, so Jim takes a swing with a shower rod, misses, kind of reminiscent of Signs where
Yes.
swing away. Doesn't work out. It works out in Signs, not here. So Signs, great movie. Check it out. Do love Signs.
It's a good movie.
Great movie. His third best film, in my opinion. Anyway, sidetracked. Very, very sidetracked. So he takes swing, misses. The succubus attacks him. And at this point, it's another example. And what I was saying earlier about them making stupid decisions, they go to the bathroom twice instead of leaving the room. I know they don't want to leave their friend behind, but at this point, it's pretty goddamn clear that he's not going to survive this face vagina attacking his penis. His actual penis, his waist penis. And so his penis now has become wasted. Anyway, so they have a chance to leave several times. They have so many chances to leave.
And they don't, just so that the plot can progress.
Yes, and it's a good plot, but that's whenever, as a filmmaker, to me, whenever you forego characterization, which is what movies are really about, characterization is what drives the plot. The plot does not drive characterization.
Jim.
I mean, there might be
Yeah,
different
it's like
philosophies. That's my philosophy on filmmaking. And maybe, David Bruckner, you probably know more about film than me. You're a filmmaker. You've done, but I'm just saying, in my humble opinion, I wouldn't have done it the same way you did.
Yeah. And
So Clint has a chance to finally leave after he tries to wake up Redhead.
And Jim,
Jim is dead.
Jim's dead.
We see Jim's dick get ripped off and put in front of the Clint. So Clint leaves.
Face vagina now has a mouth dick.
Yes. And she's coughing up this stuff. I think that this isn't what she wanted to do. I think that she wanted to be with Clint and have him as her lover. Anyway, so
We're not even saying that facetiously. We're being
I'm being very
absolutely
serious.
real.
So Clint finally leaves. A light bulb finally goes off, and then he runs out the door. And now, this is one of the biggest problems I have with this movie, because I have been afraid before, and I have approached steps while I've been afraid and running. You take time to go down the steps. You don't continue to sprint down the steps, especially if it's not bearing down on you. She's walking at him.
And see, that's the thing, is I am an uncoordinated person to begin with, and so I'm not going to... I already tripped down the stairs when I'm walking down them, so I'd rather just go ahead and meet my fate being cautious than...
Yes, absolutely.
Just sprinting down, and then...
Because falling down the steps sucks.
Yep.
So he's sprinting down the stairs like Usain Bolt would if he had to. And he falls, obviously. As soon as you see stairs, you're like, he's going to fall down the stairs. Horror movie trope.
Whoa, that's
So he
wacky.
falls down the
Yeah.
stairs, and he breaks his arm. And he doesn't stand up. You could stand up. He does stand up later after the succubus joins him in the stairwell for the scene that is important to the plot. But that's another example of letting plot drive this instead of the characterization. Because anybody that's frightened at this point, that's fallen down a staircase, even if he did break his legs, which we'd learned that he didn't because he's able to run away, he has the adrenaline and everything to be able to stand up and open the door instead of laying there and reaching for it. as if it's something that's tantalizingly close, but he can never reach. He could totally reach it. He does reach it. But instead, we have to wait in the stairwell with him for the succubus to join him at the bottom of the stairwell, which makes no sense.
So that we can see her, and she kind of she approaches Clint almost like a deer or like some sort of like timid, non-aggressive animal.
Not like a succubus.
Yeah,
which is a nice touch.
It's like a very it like
it's a
humanizes
genuine,
her.
It absolutely humanizes her.
It's a very genuine moment.
Because then she starts to try to perform fellatio on Clint, and Clint, in this situation, understood erectile dysfunction, can't get it up because there's too many faces going on. There's too many mouths going on in her face. It's kind of freaking him out. He doesn't know who to
focus on.
Yeah, he doesn't know which mouth to try to fill. So she's like, "You don't like," and then he's like, and then she goes under the stairwell and starts crying. So Clint finally gathers the strength that he needed to open the door, which is really ridiculous. Then he finally runs out. No one's able to help him. I like that part. The people that are too frightened to help him. And then he goes up to these people that are outside of a pickup truck, and he's like, "You need to help me." And at that moment, the succubus swoops in, who has now grown wings. We kind of saw that transformation happening. We saw the little foreshadowing to that on her back, and then carries him away, and then the glasses fall off.
But I do like about this because it's shot first person, so like we are seeing through like Clint's eyes, both metaphorically and literally, because we're seeing through the glasses camera, and so I do like that, and that's what I do like about this short is that it does have a very good use. The film as a whole has a great use of Ready Cam.
Yeah, and out of all the vignettes, I think that this one has one of the better reasons for actually having found footage.
And see, that's what I think. That's why I love the second one, because all of the
second honeymoon?
The second, or no, the
VHS.
Second, but like the second VHS. That's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. I think it's a great modern horror movie.
Yeah.
All of the ones in VHS, there are logical reasons why. You know what I'm saying? Like from the cult one, which is Ty West, that he's in.
I think Ty West, and we're about to talk about Ty West, his second honeymoon.
To kind of segue, but that's what I like the second one. It's more cohesive. So we're
going to cover VHS 2 during
Halloween week.
Okay. So I want to go ahead and give you my rating for this. I already said all this little bit here that I wanted to say, but my rating for this one is 5.8. Great concept, poor execution.
Yeah, I would give it a 6.2.
Yes.
Just because I really like the last
shot is beautiful.
It's very hard, it's very hard to get, because it's just his glasses tumbling to the ground, and so we fall with the glasses.
And right before that, we look up and we see her flying him. So I like the way that looks. I think that was cinematically very pleasing.
And so I really like, because it's very hard to do a first-person horror movie and it be good.
Yes, absolutely.
And so that's what I really like about this one.
And it's very good. It could have been great. That's why it's deducted so many points. So let's move on. We got
second honeymoon.
Second honeymoon, second vignette.
Which, to set this up, it's Joe Swanberg and his indie-looking wife.
Yes.
Are going on a vacation together.
Yes, to Arizona, I believe.
They're doing like a tour.
Yeah, they're going to the Wild West, and Ty West is obviously, I think he's putting his stamp on it at that point. I don't know. I feel like he wanted people to know that it's definitely his. And Ty West, as we know, is going to be directing a Western soon. He has a fascination with Western movies. Apparently, in an interview, he said that that's the type of movie he wants to direct, not horror movies. So we may have seen Ty West's last horror movie. Yeah. But this vignette is really good. I think it's the creepiest of the bunch because it's the only one, and I feel like the reason that this movie doesn't completely work as a whole is because of this one. I feel like it's so good. It is. I'll get to my rating later. It gets my second.
It plays off of psychological horror. In this film,
it's more of a thriller.
There's no supernatural element.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is the only one that doesn't delve into the supernatural. Every other vignette does. Even the Tape 56 delves into the supernatural because at the end of it, the guy becomes a zombie.
Yes, and so we should point out that in between each segment, it cuts back.
Yes.
And so at this point, I believe one of them has gone missing. One of our five guys has gone missing.
And so somebody else comes in, pops in the tape. That's going to happen a couple more times. It's an annoying buffer. It's like the buffering thing on when you're waiting for the next part.
It's like your 30-second YouTube ad that you can't skip.
Yeah, I was going to say Hulu, but YouTube as well.
And
we're both sponsored by Hulu and YouTube. We're sponsored by HooTube.
If it ends in a vowel, we'll sponsor you.
Absolutely.
If you ended a consonant, get your shit out of here.
And also Sutherland Connections. It's a fake company we made up.
Ding. And so I just imagine Donald Sutherland's face, like at the end of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but like on a realty sign. But like on a realty sign.
We want you to live in our...
we want to live in your body.
Bravo.
And so, moving
Brava.
on. So, it's the second honeymoon.
They're doing this honeymoon thing. They're filming it because they want to look back on it fondly.
But you can tell that there's some tension.
There's
in
some
between
absolute
them.
tension. There's we can kind of speed through this one because it doesn't have necessarily as many elements.
Yeah.
It's shot very
I
beautifully.
would like to point out, though, that poor Joe Swanberg in every movie never gets laid.
He never
Because
gets
if
laid.
you've seen Your Next,
Yeah.
it has a very similar scene where he has the camera and he goes up to his wife who's changing and he like plays with her bra a little bit and she's like, he like wants to film them having sex
Yeah.
and she's like, not with the camera. Same thing happens in Your Next, not with the camera,
Yeah.
but he does the same thing. So poor Joe Swanberg. Sorry
okay,
about those
yeah,
blue
and
balls.
also just a PSA here, guys. Specifically, guys, and also girls who try to film sexual things.
No, but nobody wants to watch that later.
Don't do that. Do not. That's the most degrading thing you can ever do to a person.
And have you ever seen the Friends episode where Rachel and Ross like watch their sex tape
Yeah.
or whatever and how horrified they are?
Yeah, there's Mike Birbiglia jokes
You
about
don't-
it. That's the last thing I want to see. I don't
Yeah,
want to.
you don't want to see, like, sex in the moment is great, but you don't want to look back on that because it does not look good.
It does not look
from an
what
outsider's
you think it
perspective.
looks like.
No, so moving on.
So yeah, and it's also not. Besides the horror of actually watching your sex tape, it's so degrading to ask somebody, especially if they're like, I would make out with you if you didn't try to film that. Like, shouldn't that be enough? And then for him to just continually try to do
So,
that, it's fucked up. No wonder there's tension.
So now that we've finished our PSA about SEX,
Well, I think that it was also important to establish
Yeah.
the strain of this relationship because it explains the ending.
Yeah,
and
so, yeah.
so they're at the hotel room the first night. That doesn't pan out. And then they hear a knocking at the door. And there's this girl. We don't see this scene because it makes sense not to film it. And so Joe Swanberg comes back in and recaps what happened and explains that there was this girl. She's looking for a ride.
She's like college age. She's like looking, because they're like, I think they're supposed to be like a young couple, like late 20s.
Yeah, late 20s. That's what I pictured too.
And so, yes, that happens. So then we wind up, the next time the camera's picked up, it shows his wife who's like sleeping in her underwear.
It actually shows him first.
Yes.
Yes, shows Swanberg sleeping first, then it pans over to his wife.
Yeah.
So somebody else is holding the camera.
And she has a knife.
Yes.
And she like kind of plays with the side of her underwear with a knife. It's not like as tantalizing as it sounds. It's like really uncomfortable.
It's very cold,
Yes.
like a knife. So, and then she pans back over, and then she goes to the bathroom and takes Joe Swanberg's toothbrush, dips it in the toilet bowl. The next time we see Swanberg, he is brushing his teeth with it. But we also should say that she goes to his wallet and removes $100, all 20s, by the way, Bailey.
Yeah.
And so that's 5 20s. And so the next time we see Swanberg brushing teeth, they're going to the Grand Canyon, right?
Yeah, and he goes to see his wallet, and he snaps at his wife and says, "It wouldn't be the first time you've just treated yourself."
Yeah. So that's some more foreshadowing to the fact that this is a poor marriage. So they actually have a good time at the Grand Canyon, and it's like, I think that something, now that we know the ending, I think something was supposed to go down there. I think that the wife is disappointed that it didn't happen at this point. I think that maybe her companion, we can say that, was supposed to. Otherwise, that scene doesn't make sense to exist. I feel like he wasn't supposed to. And I think that whenever he says there was a girl talking on her cell phone, I think that was her. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Or maybe the lady talking on the cell phone is the reason that it didn't happen. Maybe,
maybe that there were witnesses to establish that there were witnesses because they could have played it off like an accident, or maybe
absolutely,
or maybe it's just like a humanizing moment to kind of either get him at ease once again because they've had a fight before that.
Mm-hmm. There's many things.
Yeah.
Ty West is working on a different level, people, and he's one of the top 10 best directors in the game right now.
Yeah, and so
easily the top 3 in horror, but since he's moving from horror, Anyway, so they go back to the hotel room. Then we see Swanberg, little Swanee, sleeping, and then we just see a knife drove through his neck, and then
it's establishing his swan song.
The swan song, yes, absolutely. And at this point, you kind of expect, hey, the wife's going to wake up and freak out and start screaming, but instead we cut to the girl who killed Swanberg. Maybe it was the wife. Was that established? I don't know. So one of them kills Swanberg, and then they're making out in the bathroom, and then she's
and they
like,
have a mask on. One of them has a mask on that's like a very. They were big when I was in high school. It's like the
Those
clear
clear,
mask with like the ladies' makeup on it.
yeah.
And so they're making out in the bathroom, and they have the camera, and it's his wife and this girl. And so then it cuts to them in a car, and she's like, I love the irony of it. She's like, wait, are you recording?
Yeah.
Did you delete all that shit?
Yeah.
And so it just kind of cuts, like, she is basically just going into a relationship that's kind of structured the same way.
Yeah, with a voyeurist
Yeah.
at this point. So let's move on to the next one. I'll give it my rating real quick. I give it an 8.0. Despite its strength, it kind of weighs down the movie by sticking out as the only one that doesn't deal in the supernatural in some way. I probably would have been an 8.5 if it fit better in the movie, but it doesn't fit. What do you think?
I'd give it an 8.3 probably.
Okay, yeah.
Just because, I agree with you. I think that it's great. Maybe even like as a full psychological feature.
Yeah, that's. We'll get into one of the ones I definitely think should have been full length as opposed to it being a vignette.
Okay.
But I totally agree with that.
So
notion.
then cut to
Tuesday the 17th.
Well, then cut to the buffer back.
Oh
But
yeah.
at this point, has the guy woken up, or have they found the guy dead?
There's like it's kind of disjointed because sometimes you see the chair is empty, sometimes he's there. So I think it kind of goes back and forth.
Yeah. Anyway, at this point, I think they found their friend's head. I think they found.
No,
their
that
friend's
happens
head.
after Tuesday 17th.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm jumping ahead.
Yeah.
The wraparound segment always
You're jumping
confuses
ahead.
me.
Anyway, so Tuesday 17th happens. I actually don't want to spend that much time on tape 56.
Okay.
It's so
Yeah.
inconsequential to me. I dislike it so much.
So Tuesday the 17th sets up. We have this group of young teenagers going to a cabin in the
Yes.
woods, and so we established that the girl Wendy, who's like our main girl here,
Kudos for remembering the name. Yeah.
told her friend, who's like ditzy blonde cheerleader,
Her name is Samantha.
looking.
I just don't want you
told
because I have some
Samantha that
jokes
they
in
were
the
having
casting
a
out
girls'
demons part.
weekend. And then she also told her boyfriend that they were having a romantic weekend alone. And
Is
so
that her
there's-
boyfriend? Because I think that he was trying to hook up with her. I don't think that they're dating.
I think they're kind of dating because he calls her like. I took it that they were dating because
Yeah.
he keeps calling her babe, and he's like, "Are you okay?" Like I don't know, like the way that he
Yeah.
kind of approaches her. I took it that they are dating.
Yeah, maybe because if they were dating, I feel like she would know if he was a virgin or not. And I know that there's like that one line where she's like, "Don't tell me you're a virgin." So I don't know. It's kind of inconsequential, but
Yeah,
like
anyway.
just to establish. And I think his name is what is it?
I can hear
Joey.
it. Joey.
You'll like who I have recasted as him. It's a
excited.
funny dude, very
I'm
funny
excited.
dude. One of the funniest people in the world right now, in my opinion. And you may not even know I think he's that funny, but I
Okay,
do.
I'm excited now. So we wind up because we are going to do casting out demons at the end. We're just going to break
recasting
it down.
out demons.
Recasting
Yeah,
out demons.
yeah. We'll break it down
We're
segment
gonna
by
do casting
segment.
out demons. This isn't even the podcast.
I actually broke it
This
down
is just
segment
us
by
talking.
segment here, so we'll be good.
So they go to this cabin, and as always,
There's no cabin.
or not cabin.
Yeah, they
but
go to
they're
this
going
lake.
the
They go.
woods,
Yeah, they go into the woods. They go to this lake
I
to
just said
swim.
cabin just to play into the trope.
And so they're walking through this wooded area, and Wendy starts saying some really weird shit. At one point, she turns around and says, "You guys are all going to die out here."
And so there's some camera interference at points where we just see kind of like a red demon head type figure, not like
Not one of you guys. Not any of our ginger listeners.
but like a red. It looks like a demon basically that would be on Buffy or Angel, like that era.
and we see dead bodies. We see
Yeah,
there's
it's like
something
camera
interfering with the
interference, yes.
camera that makes this possible. And so we eventually get to the lake, and they're all passing around a joint. One of the characters, his name is Spider, is talking about how he doesn't want to smoke the joints because he doesn't want to develop the fear. And the fear to him is whenever you're really high and you get into a point in your mind where you can't think of anything but just really, really sadistic and really scary things happening to you.
which has never happened to me before.
It's happened to me. It's a real thing, and I know of several people that it's happened to.
I'm
That's
just
one of
saying
the
it's never.
reasons.
I'm very fortunate that has never happened to me.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I stopped smoking marijuana is because it happens. Whenever it happens to you, it continues to happen to you. Yeah. Yeah, it's over like silly things like you think the cops are coming. It's just this level
I
of
have.
it's
That
this
has
level of
happened.
paranoia that it starts to eat at
that's
you.
false.
So I understand why he heard about that, and that's kind of like I'm taking their college freshman or something like that.
Yeah.
So I understand his. He could be from a small town. That's why he's hanging out with these people that are kind of.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So then Spider and Samantha wind up
Yes.
going into the woods. And she's like, "Do you want to hear my new cheer?"
yes,
And it's
she's
very
a
simple.
terrible actress.
Yeah, and so she like starts it,
And
and then she gets impaled through
with
the
a
head.
butcher knife through her eye, and Spider says like, "Oh my God, your eye! That's the fear!" And then he runs away, and then doesn't make it very far, and before he's killed, and Wendy comes and retrieves the camera, and it kind of makes you think, did Wendy have something to do with this? She did, and she didn't.
So
That's the way
yeah,
I'll say
and
it.
so then we wind up getting the legend out, where
Yes.
apparently before they go into the woods, we totally forgot about this
Yeah.
whole part that is the whole folklore behind it.
Yeah,
Apparently, this legend this time last year she and her boyfriend and a couple of their friends came up here.
And they were attacked by a presence person that she described that could be in two places at once.
Yes, and so she doesn't plug herself into it, but
No.
talks about a generic story.
Yes.
And so then she winds up finding Joey, who's in his underwear
Yeah.
and in the river.
Oh yeah, we
you
should
know.
say that we see the assailant. Can I call him that on camera? But we don't really see him. It's very
blurry.
fuzzy and blurry, and there's like that interference that we were talking about earlier. And he moves in a very disjointed manner, and he's kind of
Yes.
just popping all around the
And
place.
we also see cuts of people of like Joey dead.
yeah, absolutely.
In between this. And
Yes.
so they go to the river, and that's when we find out that it was actually Wendy and her boyfriend.
Yes.
And she is like trying to seduce. She's like, "Wanna fuck?"
She's like, let's have sex in the lake.
Yeah.
This is where they died. Their blood painted the lake red or something along those lines. And she sees the guy come up right behind Joey while Joey's
Yeah.
like, hey, what are you talking about? Where are they at? You're
Yeah, that's
joking
the whole
around.
"don't tell me you're a virgin."
Yeah, and then Joey gets stabbed several times, and then she runs away.
Yeah, because she's trying to catch this demon.
Yeah. Well, she gets stabbed in the... he gets his throat slit, I should say. And so she runs away. She's trying to catch this demon. He falls into one of her traps. It's like this hole in the ground that's kind of covered up by some sticks. He falls in, gets directly out of it, and starts pursuing her further. And then she outruns him, and she sees Joey walk up, who's walking around somehow. I think it's kind of explained that the reason that he's able to get around from place to place is that he's like inhabiting different things. I guess he inhabited Joey's body,
Yeah, or maybe she just didn't cut his throat that deep.
Yeah, absolutely. So Joey falls down right in front of one of her other traps, and then we start to see the assailant coming towards her, and he steps on a pressure trigger that lifts up this gate with spikes on it, I guess is the best way to describe it, and it impales him. And then she's like, I finally got you, I beat you. And then she hears something behind her, turns around, comes back, he's gone. Then he's in a tree and jumps on top of her and kills
Camera
her.
goes down. Yep.
Camera goes down and kills her. And they show her being disemboweled, which I thought was a bit extreme. You didn't have to do that, Glenn McQuaid. So that's that one. There's some obvious homages to supernatural slasher films with the Busty Blonde. Who's
Well, I
kind
mean,
of a
it's called
bimbo.
Tuesday the 17th,
Yeah,
you know?
especially Friday the 13th. And I like the idea of using the friends as bait. And as much as I believe that Glenn McQuaid was trying to satirize the genre of the going to the woods and for
Yeah, I
a
like the
romp in
spin that one of
woods.
them is in on it. Because usually you just have
Yeah.
your survivor girl.
Yeah,
so you're
but
like,
she's
oh,
like
Wendy's our survivor girl.
This is
but
the
it's
sequel.
not.
This is the sequel to what the survivor girl would have experienced in the first one. So we're seeing this afterwards. So I like that, but I feel like he tries to satirize so much that he starts the
You kind of lose the meaning of the parody.
yeah, and it becomes exactly what you're trying to parody. And I feel like that's
But
why
I mean, that's always what you run the risk of, you know, when you're
yeah, absolutely.
with comedy. And that's why some people, you know, like that's why some things people say that are supposed to be jokes don't come across quite that way.
Absolutely.
Because if your message is lost, then
I
you've just
picture
lost
Glenn
the
McQuaid
meaning.
as the person at the party who says something rude and then it was like, dude, it was a joke. So, hey, Glenn McQuaid, sorry if we misunderstood you. My rating for you is a 5.9, decent execution of pretty well-worn territory, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I'd give it about a 6.3.
Yeah, right on.
So yeah, then at this point, we find the friend's head.
This is back into tape 56.
Yes, and we figure out that the old man is a zombie monster
Yes.
demon thing.
And he attacks
One of the guys.
one of the guys.
And maybe Adam Wingard. Because I know Adam Wingard's
Yeah,
one of the
he's
guys.
one of the guys.
I think it's Adam Wingard, because
yeah.
I think he's the last one alive.
Yeah, well, and then we get
To the sick thing that happened
to Emily when she was younger, which
is actually my mom's favorite.
yeah,
out
it's
of
my
these.
favorite too. Me and Karen Perkins have many things in common. This is just
it's a
another
tie
example.
between this one and the next one of being my two favorites.
Oh, you mean out of VHS too? Or
Out of
you mean the one
VHS.
after the one
Yeah,
by Radio
the
Silence?
10.
Yeah, 10/31/98.
Yeah.
So this is the one that is frustrating to me because it should be a feature-length film. It is such an incredible concept.
It's so cool. So to kind of lay the scene for you guys, this takes place over Skype and ReadyCam.
Yes.
Actually, just a laptop camera.
Yeah, it's just
But I mean, still ReadyCam style. So we see Emily and her boyfriend Richard,
yes.
who Richard
Well,
lives-
is it Richard? Is that his name?
Yeah. James. Sorry.
Yeah. It's all right.
So, James
It's a doctor.
is a doctor. and he-
Apparently.
Yeah, and they've apparently been dating for a long time.
Yeah.
And since they were teenagers,
Yes.
essentially. And so This is told through, like, their story is told through Skype.
And the first thing that she talks about is that she has this bump on her arm, and she's like, "Where did this come from? Like, what is this? Do you see this?" And he's like, tell you what, I'll look at it whenever I get there." And she's like, "Do I owe you anything for it?" And then we get your boob shown. So that happens, and
So then cut to later that night.
she's like, "I hear something." No, she mentions it during the day, right?
Yes.
She's like, "I've been hearing things outside my door."
So then she calls him that night
Yeah.
and is like, "I'm hearing something." And he's
Yeah.
like, "Go back to bed." And then they start kind of alluding to, they don't flat out mention it, that something like this happened
When she was younger.
when she was younger.
Yes.
And so, I mean, it is very aptly titled.
Yeah,
short.
absolutely.
So then she wakes up the next day. And
Well, no, because we see the thing, because she opens the door, she's like, "I'm going to go out there," and then she sits back down with the door open, and then a small child runs in, grabs the door, closes it, and she freaks out.
Yeah. And so.
And
then,
I should say that it's important to note that James never looks really that scared by any of this.
And so then the next day they start talking about it. We find out when she was younger, she had a psychiatric breakdown.
Yes.
Allegedly had
Yes.
a psychiatric breakdown. And so, he's just trying to tell her, he's like, "I'm coming up in a couple weeks. Like,
Yeah.
just hang in there. It's going to be okay."
So we cut to another night.
And she tells him, she's like, "Okay, I'm going to turn the camera around.
Mm-hmm.
You tell me when not to look. Or you tell me if they're there."
No, yeah, you tell me if they're there. And then she actually walks out and sees one of them for certain, and goes back to her room at this point, correct? And then we have the next morning.
Which they apparently stayed up for a while.
Yeah. He's like, "Can you stay up with me for a while?" He's like, "Absolutely." The next morning comes around, and she's talking about what happened the night before, and then she's just casually, like, off screen messing with her arm, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And she holds her arm up, and you can see that she's completely just dug into her arm, and it's this red cavity, and she's like trying to fish around to see what it is. And he's like, "Hey, don't do that. Please go to the bathroom, put some alcohol or some iodine on it," which that's kind of the hint that maybe this dude's not a doctor. Maybe he's fucking lying. Maybe he's a fucking piece of shit. We'll get into that later. So then the next
'Cause,
night...
I mean, she clearly needed stitches.
Yeah, absolutely. It was pouring blood. And she goes and gets like a fork to really get it out, and that's when he stops her. So we cut to the night, the last night, and she's talking, what Bailey was talking about earlier. She's like, "I'm going to turn the laptop around. I'm going to close my eyes, because if I see them, I'm just going to run back to my room, and I want to talk to them, see if we can find where the body is, if it's a ghost and everything." So he's kind of directing her at this point.
Yeah, and she's like, "I'm going to talk to my landlady and see if there were any murders here or anything like that."
And the landlady said there's never been any murders there and everything. So that happened. So
that's the most apt part, I think, of a movie we've ever summed up. We're like, so that didn't happen. Moving on.
So, so she goes out into the hallway. There's nothing in the hallway. She has her eyes closed. He's like, "I just see your hallway." And then she goes, takes a right, looks into the bathroom. He's like, "Nothing's in there." And then he's like, "Why don't you go to the living room?" And then she goes to the living room.
There's a bunch of ghost children.
Yes. Well, are they? They're not ghosts.
I mean, not like
See, that's the
ghost
thing.
children.
I had to look up what this one was actually about, because I didn't get it. But I know what it's
they're like
about
ghost
now.
children and aliens, essentially, or what are in there.
They're Galians.
Galians. And so then...
She sees all these things, and then...
It sounds like a nightclub like Stefan would make up on
Absolutely.
SNL.
So she goes to the ground. A man walks in to the apartment, and we see that, hey, James isn't on his camera anymore.
And we see it's James. And so he's like, "She thinks I'm in Oregon. Do you know how far away that is from here?"
Yeah.
And so he's like, "Well, how many more times?"
Yeah.
And they're speaking in an incoherent language.
And he's like, "The tracking device, blah, blah, blah." And then he operates on her. He makes an incision and pulls
On her
out
side.
a baby. Well, it's not
An
even a
alien
fetus. It's a
fetus.
baby. It's a baby at this point, because it's grown. It's beyond the stage of a fetus, correct? What is that called?
I don't know.
Anyway, it might be fetus. I don't know. I don't know anything about that. That's why
We're
I don't
not
get
doctors either.
Yeah, I don't get into the pro-life or pro-choice debate very often, because I don't really know shit about it. So, he pulls out this living creature, and he's like, "Man, this one's almost fully human." And it's like this weird kind of like, "What are you guys even doing?" So, and then he hands it off, and then the next morning, she's
And
like...
then he said, "We're going to have to break some bones this time to make it look like she fell down the stairs or something."
Yeah, make it look like an accident. Apparently, the story that they do develop is that she walked out into the middle of some traffic. I think that's what they... So the next morning, we see her talking to James, and she's like, "You deserve..."
Eyes are both black,
Yeah.
and like...
She has like a broken arm. It's in a sling, and she's like, "You deserve to be with someone more sane." He's like, "You make it sound like I have a choice in the matter," which to her is comforting. But whenever you realize the reality of it is that he's being forced by, or I don't know, maybe it's his job, by these alien overlords. I guess is the best way to put it. That he has to do this. And then we cut to, and there's one more little thing at the end. It's another Skype call with another girl who he's doing this to as well. She mentions that she has the arm thing, and apparently she thinks that's her boyfriend. And that's how it ends. It's great. And the first time I watched it, I had no idea it was aliens. I had no idea what the fuck was going on. I was like, is he friends with ghosts? And what is this?
Yeah, so I don't know. Like,
Was this the guy that was friends with Wendy and Casper, and then Wendy died or something, and then now he's just friends with Casper? But no, it's aliens.
Is this like E.T. Part 2?
Maybe it is.
Hey, Elliot, what's up? You've grown up. So anyway, basically, how I took it. Here's what I took away from it.
Okay.
Here's my 2 cents.
Yes.
I took it that. Here's what I want to believe.
Yes.
I want to believe that when they were younger, he was kind of put in charge, like something happened, and he agreed to take care of her because they've been together for so long. So that's what I like to think, is that, like, he doesn't really have a choice, because it's like he can either oversee it or they're going to take it out of his control and somebody else is going to do
Yeah.
it. So
At least
like
he's watching over her. At least he's doing that.
So that's why he's trying to find another
Yeah, I
girl,
felt the
because he
same
knows
way.
that she can't take it again.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I feel like this should be a feature-length film, so we get a little more insight into that.
No, and I mean, I think it's great. I would give it like a solid 8.4.
I give it an 8.4 as well. I think it's a disturbing...
I didn't even look at your notes.
Yeah, I think it's a disturbing look into a sociopath working with aliens. It's such a great idea that loses points by being squandered on a short film project.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's great. I think it's definitely one of the strongest ones.
I think it is the strongest one, personally.
Yeah.
Well, it's the strongest one that would survive separately from...
Yeah, cohesively.
But in terms of cohesiveness, the next one, let's go ahead and segue into that. 10/31/98.
Which is actually my favorite.
It's directed by Radio Silence. It's definitely the scariest one. We're introduced to these characters at a barbecue, and they seem like they're having a good time. And then the like old VHS tapes, you see the date on the tape itself. Then we flash forward to 10/31/1998, and it's this group of friends that are going to a costume party.
I love how one of them, so how we get this shot is one of them is going as a nanny cam, so he's a giant teddy bear with a camera attached.
Beautifully explains as to why he would be doing this, why there is a camera in all these scenes.
Yes, and so they're going to this house, and it's just like a house party. That's all they've been told.
Yeah. So let's not really get into the characters of this one, because they're kind of inconsequential.
Yeah, and so...
They're all kind of one unit. And I think that's intentional to kind of mirror us as the audience. So I love that the fact that they wind up at this party, and I love... Okay, let me read this. It intelligently deals with horror expectations by having the group walk through what they believe to be a
haunted house
that's set up like a haunted house. So they think that they're arriving at the party early. So they think that in order to get to the party that's in this large house, they have to go through the haunted house, and the party will be in the separate room.
Yes.
So that's kind of like us, where the audience has been subjected to these other vignettes, and we're like, okay, we'll see this one. Okay, that one's scary. What is this one? Oh, that one's pretty scary. Okay, that one's really scary. Okay, this one. And then we're at the point. Yeah, at the point in the movie, we're like, all right, we're going through another one of these vignettes. Okay, let's see what kind of scares we're going to get. Let's see. And then it kind of subverts your notion of what it is.
Exactly. We go from audience to, like, actually, like, a
participant.
Part of... Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There we go. I was trying to think of the word. And
yeah, absolutely. So they're, like, walking through, and, like, they start to see these really creepy things, like chairs moving around, people sitting in the chairs, and they're moving. And, like, we don't see this, but it takes place off camera. These friends go into a room, and they're like, oh, man, that one's really scary. They're, like, hands coming out of the wall. I've never seen that. That's really creepy. So they're maneuvering through this house, and they start seeing all these other creepy things.
And then they hear something upstairs.
And they're like, oh, that's where the party's at. And they're, like, making these comments, like, what kind of party is that? Because it's, like, loud speaking, like, repetitive, like, almost like a preacher would into a sermon. So they go into this bathroom, and there's, like, this little door that opens up to an alcove, which leads to an attic. So they start going up there, and they think it's part of the haunted house. So they're like waiting in the stairs, and there's this girl who's tied up by ropes. There's people surrounding them, and they're saying all sorts of crazy shit.
And throwing what appears to be holy water on her.
Yes, and rightfully so. I think that even though these people are doing this really creepy thing, I think they're in the right. I would like to see what their motivation to get to this point was. Yep. I think that'd be another good vignette that they're going to make a VHS for. So they start chanting this thing. I forget what it was, but let's just say...
it's essentially like you're speaking in tongues, like, tie my bow tie.
Yeah, well, they're
Yeah.
saying something along the lines of the power of Christ compels you. It's like their version of the power of Christ compels you. So they're saying that repetitively. So the group of guys who are there, and we'll get into the reason why they actually went to this party. I have some theories in my Satan Pizza theory on that. Finally, it's working its way in here. So the Satan Pizza theory will come back. So they start chanting along with them, power of Christ compels you. They're not actually saying that, but it's their version of that. So they're, power of Christ compels you. And then the guys that are doing this are like, what are you guys doing here? What the fuck is this? Like, why are you here? And then they start going towards the guys to get them to leave, and they start rising up into the ceiling. There are these unseen forces acting on these guys, and they're just being shot up to the ceiling.
And so they untie the girl because she's pleading with them to be untied. So they
Well,
went-
I would say,
Yeah.
I have to say that they have a chance to leave. They go downstairs, and they're at the door which kind of disappears later. They have a chance to leave, and he's like, no, listen to that. We have to go back. So they want to be heroes. So they go back upstairs to save this girl, and there's like a struggle. One guy's pinning the one guy down, then eventually gets taken up by one of these unseen forces, and he grabs a knife that was going to be used to kill him, and then he cuts her out, and she's
and then
like...
they wind up rescuing her. But you have to remember, they have to go back through the house.
The house, which is now like a haunted house on steroids, there's hands coming out of the walls. The
Which
door...
is creepy. It does not sound creepy, but the effects are so phenomenal that it is so
incredible
unsettling.
because to see it on this kind of tape, you would think that it would look out of place, because they're not using practical effects at this point. This is special effects, and it looks incredible. Like, just the doorknobs.
I think this was practical effects.
If it's practical effects, that's incredible. I'll have to...
No, I think that, because I think I looked at a lot of the effects in VHS, they used as many practical effects as they could.
Well, I think it'd be kind of hard to get hands kind of coming out of places, but we'll look into that. I would love to know that. We'll have that a separate discussion. We'll talk about it on a later episode. Doorknobs are popping off, and they look at the door, and it's one of the coolest shots. Like, the door that they're trying to escape through is locked now, and the window throughout it is kind of rolling up like a scroll.
Cartoon or something,
yeah, like a scroll. It's just like rolling up, and you can't get out. So they eventually go through this basement corridor. And they get to it, and there's just the smoke coming, there's hands coming, and they eventually break out through the basement, like this kind of like opening situation.
Yeah.
And they bring the girl to the car, and they're in the car, and they're driving away. They're like, what the fuck was that? What's going on? And then the car starts breaking down, and they're like, start the car up, what are you doing? He's like, I don't know, it won't go.
Because they're near a train track.
Yes, they are near a train track. And we hear the girl start screaming, and then she disappears out of thin air. And they're like, what the fuck happened? Mm-hmm. And then they're like, start the car. And they look up, and she's standing at the front of their car. She's got her hands on the hood of the car, and she's screaming at them. And you start to see a light of a train coming. They can't get out of the train. I mean, the train's path.
And there's like shit like coming at their car and stuff that's really creepy.
Yeah, very creepy shit. There's birds flying and shit like that, and then the train hits them, allegedly. And we don't actually see it happen, but the light approaches to the point where it looks like it hits them. And then we get the end of the movie, the wraparound, where the last guy is killed, correct? Or is it? No, it ends with just that, right? It ends with that, and then it goes to VHS.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because the last guy dies before this one. So, so my Satan Pizza theory is that there was no costume party, that their friend doesn't exist. I don't think that they actually had this friend. I think that they all assume that this was one of their mutual, like one of the there's 4 people in the group, right? Mm-hmm. And they assumed that each of them, the guy at the party they're going to, was a mutual friend of theirs. So I don't think they actually existed. The reason they're going to this party is because this girl, the one that they're tied up, has gotten into contact with them, and through some shape or form, and informed them of this party, or put the idea of the party in their heads. And there was never supposed to be a party. And it was just this... She knew that some people would come and save her if they saw her in the situation. So that's my Satan Pizza theory.
I like it.
Makes sense. I give the rating for this for 10/31/98 an 8.8 because of the way it fits in the context of the film, and it's the strongest of the vignettes in that sense, in cohesiveness. And what do you give it?
I'd give it a 9.1.
9.1. All right. Overall, for the movie VHS, I give it a 6.8. I think there's some great directors, some great scares, and some poor execution that ruin what could have been a transcendent subversion of the found footage horror genre.
Yeah, I'd give it an 8.0 overall, just because I think that there are some very strong segments, and even the weak segments in here do have their strengths, and they couldn't hold their own or stand alone, but I think within the context of the film and within the realm of the film that they really do hold their own and they bring something to it.
Absolutely. Little note, horrormovies.ca reported that 2 people fainted during the premiere at Sundance. Kind of a side
Yes,
note.
I know that at South by, it was really weird. I actually was gonna go see it. It was a midnight premiere, but something weird told me not to. So it was really weird. Yeah,
Wow,
so I just
wow,
watched
fair.
it at home. I don't know.
Now moving on to what one demon head once called, hey, I like that segment, recasting out demons.
Yeah.
Yes. So for Amateur Night, remind you that's the one with the glasses and everything. For Shane, I have Aaron Paul.
Okay.
What do you got? I'll do I don't want to do that. It'll be too loud. I can do a decent impression of Aaron Paul. Mr. White. Anyway, and Aaron Johnson from Kick-Ass is Clint, and Queen Latifah is the succubus. And for Bailey, who do you have for this?
I would do the cast of Workaholics.
The cast of Workaholics.
Just for all three guys.
You're gonna okay. I don't want you to look at my bit of paper, but I have something similar to that
And then
at one point.
for the succubus, I would do. Give me one moment.
For sure.
I
I thought you
think-
said you had one already.
I think we should do.
What about you had?
I don't like Kat Dennings.
Oh, okay,
as
fair
a-
enough.
I think we should do. I had one and I lost it, so that's why I'm like stalling for a minute. What if we used? God, give me.
What has she been in?
I have it. Hold on. Don't tell me. I got it.
I think she's got it, guys.
Anna Camp. Sorry.
Who's Anna Camp?
She was in Pitch Perfect.
Oh, okay,
And,
yeah.
Either her or Brittany Snow, really.
Yeah, Brittany Snow would be pretty good in that role, for sure.
Yeah, so there we
she's
go.
done some horror
Yeah.
in her time.
Yeah, Prom Night.
Moving on to second honeymoon, I have.
And Would You Rather. Have you seen Would You Rather?
No, I haven't. Is it
If
good?
you want to be stabbed in the heart and the gut and everything.
Have
in
you
between.
seen Unfriended yet?
No.
Oh yeah, they play Would You Rather in that, or no, Never Have I Ever. Sorry.
Yeah. No. Would You
Good
Rather?
movie,
though,
by
it's
the
on
way.
Netflix.
Yeah, Unfriended, great movie, by the way.
But it has the only down part of Would You, of Would You Rather. One of the Trailer Park Boys is in it.
Oh wow.
So it's hard to take it seriously.
Yeah.
It does a really good job. Anyway.
Okay,
moving on.
second honeymoon. I have Adam Brody playing the part of Joe Sonberg's character because they look like they're brothers. The first time I saw the trailer for Your Next, I thought that Joe Swanberg was in fact Adam Brody. And when I sat down to watch Your Next, I was very disappointed to not see Adam Brodes kicking Seth Cohen it up.
It's because he was sailing to Tahiti.
And for Stephanie, I have Rachel Bilson for obvious reasons.
Cute.
Yes.
So cute.
And for you?
I would do for husband, Joe Swanberg
Yeah.
character. I think that.
What about
What about? I know for the girl, I would definitely do Anna Kendrick for sure.
Anna Kendrick would be great in the role
For
because
sure.
she works with Swanberg.
Yeah. What if for the husband we had Jared Padalecki?
Who's that?
He was Dean in Gilmore Girls. He's also Sam in Supernatural.
Lost on me.
Really tall, brown hair. He was in House of Wax, the remake of Friday the 13th, the remake of House of Wax.
Okay, I think I know who you're talking
Yeah.
about now. Yeah, because I liked House of Wax, actually.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
remake, it's not bad. I rented it from Vulcan. I mean, it's still shitty compared to the original, but...
Shout out to Vulcan Video. Me and Baylor are both members of Vulcan Video
yeah,
now.
no, go get a membership at Vulcan Video.
Go do it.
They're not sponsoring us, we swear. They're just
Yeah,
awesome.
We love them.
So yeah, Tuesday the 17th.
Tuesday the 17th, I have Emma Roberts as Wendy. Domhnall Gleeson as Spider. That is the guy that played one of the main characters on Ex Machina. Not the guy that went. I think his name eludes me. I don't remember what it is.
I don't remember.
But it's the guy that falls.
Went, yeah.
Yeah, the guy that went to see the guy.
Yeah.
And Max Greenfield as Joey. One of the funniest people in the world, who you don't know that I think is one of the funniest people in the world. I think he'd be really funny in that role. Right? And then I have Queen Latifah as Samantha.
I would have never in 12 billion years.
Did you know that I actually love New Girl, the show? It's one of my favorite shows.
I don't know, but fun fact, Demon Heads, Zach Busby once looked me square in the face and said, I've never met someone who was a perfect mixture of Jim Halpert and Jess from New Girl until I met you.
That
and
is
it is
true.
still one of the most flattering compliments I've ever gotten.
That's a
in my
true story.
life. Okay, so let's...
Who do you have as Wendy?
Wendy, let's do... Who hasn't done a movie in a while? Let's do Lily Collins
Okay.
from Mirror Mirror. She was
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
Stuck in Love, yeah.
Yeah.
For Joey, let's do Chad Michael Murray. Let's throw him a little
why
bone.
not?
He's
Yeah.
older, but why not?
Yeah, for sure.
For Spider, let's do the kid who played Ned from Ned's Declassified.
Dude,
Special
hell
Episode.
yeah. I love that
Right?
dude.
Right?
Yeah.
What is his name?
I don't remember.
I'll look your name up later. I'm sorry, but
It's declassified. We can't look into it.
Declassified means we can't. Anyway.
I know. It's a joke. Who do you have as
For
Samantha?
Samantha, let's
Try to top
do...
Queen Latifah, I dare you.
Okay. What about Monique?
Oh, okay. Right on. The sick thing that happened to Emily when she was younger, I have Dakota Fanning as Emily, and then Joe Swanberg as James, because I think one of the coolest things a horror movie director can do is play a part in your movie. I think Alfred Hitchcock showed that, and I think that M. Night Shyamalan has showed that as well, and, I think that'd be pretty cool.
Okay, the sick thing that happened to Emily when she was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do Misha Barton, because she
Ooh.
hasn't done anything in
Yeah,
a while. And
for
she's
sure.
the girl in The Sixth Sense.
And she also did that, what was that movie she did? It was kind of like very similar to Misery with Kathy Bates.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a decent movie. I think it's
think
Prom.
now.
I think it's just called Prom, if I'm not
Maybe.
mistaken.
Yeah. Yeah, and so let's do Misha Barton. And then for James, let's do...
Dude, I have an idea. Do you want to hear it?
No.
Okay.
I don't want to do this. What about Jake Johnson from New Girl?
Oh, yeah, okay, I can see that. 'Cause, you know, when I actually have a confession to make, when I was watching Ex Machina, I actually thought that that dude was Jake Johnson. I can't remember the actor's name, who kicks the shit. He's an amazing
But you
actor.
know who else would be a good James?
Who? Use your words.
Our fall black Mark Duplass.
Mark Duplass, yes, absolutely. He would have been
I just
great.
started laughing because that's who we plug into
Yeah,
every single
well, Mark
movie.
Duplass was in that documentary about Linklater I watched today.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's very funny in it as
I just
well.
think it's funny because we put him into every single movie ever.
Yeah, it's true. So for 10/31/98, I have Mark Duplass. I'm kidding. For 10/31,
For all characters.
Yes.
It's going to be like the parent.
For 10/31/98, the four, I have just some of the cast members of the Birthday Boys, just walking through the haunted house, doing their thing. So, Birthday Boys will always have a very, very nice place in my heart. I think you guys are underratedly some of the most funny people on the planet right
That
now.
show, it makes me so sad that show was canceled / they quit.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah, it's sad. It's cool seeing some of them in Comedy Bang Bang sometimes. So, have you watched the episodes they put on
No,
Netflix
I have not
recently?
yet, but it's in my.
Yeah, there's
in my
some
queue.
there's some really good episodes.
Let me get through this week. It's been a rough week, Demon Heads.
Yeah.
So
So who do you have for
gonna recast that.
10/31/98?
let's see. I want to see Hannibal Buress,
Okay.
and I want to see. John Mulaney hasn't done anything horror.
Yeah.
Let's just throw John Mulaney.
Has he
in
done
there.
any acting at all?
Just besides Mulaney, no.
Yeah,
Let's just do it. Let's throw John Mulaney.
Yeah,
in.
let's have some comedians just running around dealing
Let's
with
do
things.
John Mulaney. Just throw comedians into situations. Let's do Skylar Astin from Pitch Perfect. And one more. I'm trying to think who would round out my cast. What about Russell Brand?
Why not have Russell Brand in there?
Why not?
Brand recognition.
Ding.
And for Tape 56, this isn't necessarily recasting out, but just what I would replace that segment with. Just YouTube videos of the Beatles doing silly interviews. I think that would make the movie stronger than having what we were subjected to with that bullshit wraparound.
What if it
segment.
was What if it was the horrifying, like all of the videos you watched when you were 14?
Sure.
Just like put on shuffle, like in between their like what in the butt and
I
shoes.
just
and
like
stuff
the
and just pop
idea
them.
of seeing like that whole thing with the Joe Swanberg where he gets his neck cut into by a knife and there's two girls making out, and then just cut to like Paul McCartney.
But the Beatles.
Horror movies are 90% mental, and the other half is baseball. Then just cut to the next one. Tell me that wouldn't be a better movie. Go ahead. You can't. You can't.
God.
You cannot. All right.
God. Okay. Well, then I'm going to be recasting out demons. What would you change?
What would I change? Well, I think that I've already made it very apparent what I would change. I would do without Tape 56, and just
Yeah,
kind of
make
make
a
it. I would
stronger
just kind of make it a
segment.
horror movie remix. Kind of
Yeah.
like just don't have a reason for it. Just have 5 vignettes.
Yeah, I
Just
feel like
do
you have
that.
to have a little bit of cohesion though, something to kind of.
I don't know.
some sort of something.
Yeah, I mean, I've read collections of short stories that don't have any.
Okay.
Yeah, but I understand it's a different medium.
Yeah, it's
so
a different,
Yeah.
So just a different wraparound, or just no wraparound at all.
Or just replace it with YouTube videos of the Beatles. Oh no, you shouldn't have done that. That was terrible.
What if it was just that lady that fell in the wine stomping video? It was just
Yeah.
ow, ow, ow.
Or
for
just
10
just
seconds
any
in between.
viral video. Just put in there.
Keyboard
instead.
cat just
Keyboard
playing in the
cat,
background.
Yeah. Or we should make a notice or a shout out to the Pop-Tart cat. What is that one called?
Nylon cat.
Nyan cat.
Did
yeah.
you know I met him at South by and he drew a Nyan cat? I wish that I had been into
Yeah.
tattoos then, because he drew Nyan cat and Sharpie on my arm. He's a really cool dude.
Yeah, cool dude. Very cool.
So, but yeah, so now to Bone Plugs in Harmony. Thank you to Lauren Cecilia Mims for our cover art. You can check out her website, laurenceciliamims.com. She has a lot of great stuff on there.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you to Jackson King for, excuse me, for our
doing-
intro and outro music.
Yes, and thank you to Zach T. Busby for scoring the episodes.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Zach, for doing an original score.
Every episode.
Which is awesome.
Yes.
So that's pretty rad.
I agree. I concur.
I concur that he's rad. So yeah, Zach, what do you have cooking? Cooking in that little comedic oven over there.
Yeah, so me and my brother, like I mentioned earlier, I've been trying to plug it in as often as possible so I can make this plug as obvious as possible. Don't worry, Demon Heads, I am still working on all my other projects in accordance to this one, but me and my brother are going to be making a movie soon, and it's based off of this script. I've written upwards of 50 pages on the script about a year ago. And I completely abandoned the project because I didn't think my brother would work with me on it. But after watching this documentary about Richard Linklater, we started talking about how it's ridiculous that we haven't made a movie since I was in high school, and how we need to sit down and actually make a movie again. We have no excuse, and that's Linklater's mantra. I mean, just go out and make a movie. That's also the Duplass brothers' mantra: just go out and make a movie. And all three of those people that I mentioned have spent time in Austin. And
we highly respect them.
Yeah,
they're
they're
Cassie Out Demons.
Yeah, absolutely, we do. So the movie is called Fixed. It centers around a guy who is either making a coffee pot or a time machine.
I remember this
Yes.
because you asked me for my input on the ending.
Yes. So
Yeah, I remember this.
the ending is actually going to be that, and
Yes.
what we talked about, and I don't know. Look out for it. Hopefully, I have a meeting with one of my good friends who is an extremely talented person. Is in a very popular rap group in Austin by the name of Magna Carta. She's a great friend of mine. We had a class together at St. Edward's, and we kind of just agreed that we wanted to work with each other in any capacity that we could after we graduated. And since then, we've kept in touch. We've worked on scripts together. She's filmed a couple of episodes of The Couch Show. So I'm looking forward to that meeting with her, and we'll see where it goes. I'm excited about it. Look out for Fixed.
I can beat the succubus now.
How so?
Yoko Ono.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, okay, for sure. That's good.
And then that would tie into the Beatles video.
Absolutely.
There we go.
Full circle.
So yeah, hi. Hey Zach, what's your Twitter handle?
My Twitter handle this week is you hit the @ symbol on your keyboard, and you take a lot of NyQuil and you pass out. But right before you pass out, what do, Bailey? You put a bunch of Pop Rocks in your mouth. You sleep with your mouth agape, so the Pop Rocks will come out, and it'll scare your kitten. You have to have a kitten for this to work. And it'll try to attack the Pop Rocks that are coming out of your sleeping mouth, and your cat will type in my Twitter handle. Be sure to hit enter when you wake up, or this is all for nothing. Don't be ridiculous.
Yeah, it's gonna be amateur night over here.
Yeah, what the fuck, guys? Come on.
So
Bailey, what do you do? Do you write for Hello Giggles?
I do.
Okay.
I just got an article posted on there about my mom. Made her cry. It's not a bad article. It just she was like, it's the most touching tribute ever. So
It takes a lot to make Karen Burke. It's great.
Yeah, I like my mother. We're bricks.
Yes, you guys are bricks made of glass.
Yes. So
really cheap sugar glass that breaks in the movie, so actors
it's like
can
a
jump through.
kitten licks us and we melt.
Yes, absolutely.
The same kitten that tries to attack your keyboard.
Yes.
So anyway,
what an image I just created, by the way, of someone falling asleep with Pop Rocks in their mouth and a kitten being afraid of the exploding candies. And
what a world you live in.
What is going on in my brain?
So I have a Twitter handle at Bailey McLeod. Yes, I do write for Hello Giggles. Hello Giggles. So you can find me on their website. I think I'm on the 3rd page of contributors, working on some pitches right now actually after this, so hopefully those will get taken too. I have a couple articles I'm excited about that I hope get published up soon. Mm-hmm. I have a blog, nobodyputsbillyinthecorner.wordpress.com, and I have recently actually just started Tindering again, so I just wrote about my first Tinder interaction, and there's going to be a
and
series.
during the episode, Bailey was matched with somebody.
I
so
was. I got a match.
She's probably waiting for this episode to end, and I'm going to do my best not to drag out the episode, as to build more anticipation for Bailey and her new Tinder match.
Yeah, which, I mean, Tinder is goofy, but I'm like, at least I'll get writing material out of it.
Oh, yeah,
So,
for sure. I've done that for stand-up material.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great facet. So there's that.
Yes.
Hopefully, I'm trying to start another podcast soon. Some things
So
have been
am I.
going on in our personal life.
Yeah, we
Mine
can't
and
really
Zach's
delve
both,
into that. Yeah.
So we have to deal with that. But hopefully soon we're both going to each have another podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But Demon Heads, we will not forget about you.
Bailey's podcast she was referring to is an OC podcast.
The OCPC, or the PC for short.
Yes.
And it's everything you didn't learn around the bagel slicer.
Yes.
And it will always end with, and remember, don't compare apples to Orange County.
Yes, which is great.
I remember the first time I told Zach, that is the hardest I've ever made Zach laugh.
Yes.
So
It got more than 4 ha's out of me, which is
It
very
did.
hard to do.
he doubled over as he left the store.
Yes. So me and my brother's podcast, it's called Truly, deals with current events with a little twist. We give you a little history lesson. And as of today, we have solidified the fact that we're going to be adding our Uncle Rick, into the podcast as well. Uncle Rick is one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life, has an insanely high IQ. I'm not making that part up. And he's also the president of the Austin Songwriters.
That's awesome.
So he's going to be joining the podcast. We haven't talked to him about it, but it's solidified.
That's what I was
He's gonna do it.
waiting for.
Yeah, so
That's why I
I'm
was
sure
laughing.
Uncle Rick's always been very supportive of me and Cameron, so I think it's just a phone call away from that happening. So we'll have that, and just be excited about that. Look for those episodes and the future episodes of Casting Out Demons to appear on iTunes whenever we actually get that situation straightened out.
As soon as we almost had it. Like, legitimately, we almost had it. And then some stuff started happening around here. So now it's been put on the back burner, but I promise you it's coming soon.
Yes.
And like I said, we're still, I promise you we're still going to do our 7 episodes for Halloween week.
Yes.
We're going to start actually probably recording like a couple episodes next
Pretty
week.
soon, yeah.
And we're also, I am 98% positive we have a guest next week, our friend Barbara.
Yes.
So it's going to be a lot of fun. And then we have some good guests lined up for Halloween week. Still
We do.
working on getting some guests. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
We'll be covering one of my favorite horror movies pretty soon. I'm very excited
Yeah,
about that.
we have a lot of really good movies
Yes.
coming up, so get excited, because I know that we've been covering some Indian stuff, but like the next
when you say
coming
indie
weeks,
and stuff, it sounds like you're saying Indian stuff. Like we're covering
Indie.
horror movies that take place in Bollywood.
anyway.
Oh God, I am hilarious. It is ridiculous how funny I am. How did you get me to do this podcast?
Well,
You know what I
Zachary,
mean?
and remember, ghosts have feelings too.
The sequel. You get it, Bailey?
I get it.
It's like the second installment in a series of movies that.
Goodbye, demon heads. Ghosts have feelings too.
Casting Out Demons is filmed in front of a live studio audience in Tampa Bay, Florida. It is created by Bailey McLeod Perkins, hosted by Bailey McLeod Perkins and Zach T. Busby, who also edits every episode and provides us with a nice little score. The music is provided by Jackson King. The cover art is provided by Lauren Mims. You are a dime. You are a dime plus 99 other dimes. That's $10. You were $10. That is all you'll ever be worth. You'll never make more money than $10.